right, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to MLS Monday. I'm here with MLS manager Joanna Rao. She's back. She was not here last week. And we were able to get through our MLS Monday. I just got back yesterday from Florida Realtors for their midwinter meetings, which are always super exciting. A lot of information, a lot of new things that they're doing with Florida Realtors, from education to technology innovation. It's a lot of great stuff coming from that as well.
Yeah. So today what we're discussing is your listing data, the exposure that it gets. Right now, we hear it from you guys on the phones every single day. Listings are sitting. You've got a lot more days on market. You're having to have those harder conversations with your sellers right now. And we kind of want to help you out with the different tools that we have to help with those conversations, whether it's the conversation of what are you doing for my listing? Is anybody even seeing it? What are the numbers? What are the stats? Or maybe you're trying to have that tough conversation of it's time for a price change. So there's all kinds of data that we've got, all kinds of tools that we got to help with those conversation pieces. First, we're going to start out with List Track. You can find that right here on your dashboard. It has got the little lime green square in it. And this is a program that is actually changing soon. So do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we don't want to start with this kind of news, but so we were getting List Track. We actually have a call with them today as well, but we were getting List Track at no cost. And we were looking at, providing that. We signed a contract years ago, and they changed the revenue model they've got, and they went to a subscription-based revenue model. So if you read this, it sounds like, we're not going to pay for any more. We were never paying for this. This was provided to us and provided to you. They want to get paid for it now, right? So they want to make revenue, and we all want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a choice to either pay for it for everybody or do the subscription-based model. When we look at things, we always look at analytics. We make very informed decisions on the stuff we provide for our subscribers. And we look at usage and how many people are using it. And based on what we know was being used, the MLS committee and board of directors decided to go with the silver package, which means you get a discount, massive discount at $9.99 a month if you want to use this to be able to show this to your sellers,
right?
For your listing. So you'll see what it does today. You'll make the decision if you want to use it, but there's value to show where your listings are going. We know we get calls every day. Listings are staying longer. What are you doing for it? So it's a valuable tool. It's no longer being offered free to the MLS. So it's no longer being offered free to our members. Kind of how that works.
Yeah.
So,
but at a significant discount, and from now until March,
you can
go out there. You can play with it. Figure out if it's something that you like, something that's going to be worth your money. So right now is like kind of the best time to learn that tool. Figure out if it's something that you're going to want to spend. It's either $9.99 a month or $99 for the year. So in this dashboard, right off the bat, up front, all of the data that you're going to see is all of your listings combined. So if you've got multiple listings, it's going to show you really everything. That is more of a snapshot for you, right? It's showing you how you're doing, what your algorithm looks like. And then what we're going to dive into in a minute here is on the listing side, all of this data that we go through, it drives it down into each individual listing with a nice report that you can provide to your sellers. So in here, you can see the views that your listings have received. And right now it's showing the last 30 days. You can change this out. You can do the last 7 days, or if you wanted to set a custom report and choose those dates, you can do that as well. So we can see here on Zillow, there's been 6,330 views for this member, Realtor.com, 1,566. On our MLS here, 1,542. Trulia got 349, and then broker and agent sites, it shows 145. The broker and agent sites would be anybody who is connected to a feed for us for any office on their website. All right, if you also had inquiries on those properties through any of these different portals, that would display here as well with the same chart. So visitors, again, last 30 days, you'll see at the top of every single one of these boxes, you can customize what numbers it is that you're looking at, whether you want to see the past week or a custom set of dates. And this is important. Maybe if you've implemented like a new marketing strategy of some sort and it started like 2 weeks ago. You can go back and look at maybe the past 4 weeks, see if your numbers change, see if anything changes. Maybe you've upgraded your profile and paid extra for a profile on one of those syndication sites. You can see the difference in the views that you're getting on those listings to make that decision of whether it's something that's working for you or not.
Right, price improvements, you do a price
Mhm.
change. You look at the before and after, you do 2 reports side by side. So a lot of use for this data.
Yep. So in here down below with the visitors, this gives you a line graph and it shows the same portals that we saw in the bar graph above. So you've got Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, our portals, the MLS and the broker agent sites. And then you can sit here and follow through each of these data points and roll over it. And it'll show you when that data point was pulled and exactly what the numbers were for that week.
Here's a question, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, we do have questions. Okay, so when are they going to start charging for List Track program, or have they started already? They will start charging for that in March.
Yeah, March 1st, I think, is when
Mhm.
they're doing that. We have a call today. And we'll get information out this week to all the members, look at the weekly. And then we'll put something on the dashboard probably as far as what's happening with that. So we will be doing that.
Okay, and earlier when we were talking through announcements, this one came in. Are they using AI for home sales with no commission? I don't know what that means.
Home sales with no commission. So we are using artificial intelligence inside of Listing Data Checker to make sure nobody's putting in commissions in the MLS, which is not allowed to have happen.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's what that question means. I don't know if you want to type out more detail for that one.
Yeah, but we're using AI for Listing Data Checker. On that.
Yeah. Okay. So going further down, you can see here, it's a quick synopsis of the performance of each listing. And again, we're going to get more detail on all of these listings, but you can see the views that each of these listings has had in the past 30 days side by side. And it's a good way to compare each of your listings, which one's more popular, which one's less popular, gives you an idea of what strategies might be working. Maybe it's the price point. Maybe it's the type of home, but this will kind of give you a side-by-side comparison of each of those listings that you have. The fun part of this is this map here. Let's go ahead and expand that. This is a heat map that shows where all the activity on your listings is coming from. So you can see here, obviously, most of it is over Central Florida. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Most of it is in our area. They've got some up in Tampa, Orlando, a lot of people looking from Miami. But this is pulling the IP addresses of the location of the consumer for those properties. Again, this map is showing for this member all of their listings. So they had like 6, 7, 8, a good number of listings. This is showing all of those all together. And you've got this whole international map. This can help you kind of decide where you want to put your marketing dollars. They've got a good amount of people looking. There's a little bit in Germany and Denmark. And I think I saw it, yeah. So it goes all the way around here. But mostly the United States over in Southwest Florida, but you can see there is some potential for some international clients if you're looking at trying to figure out where you might want to market. Close this.
Yeah, and I'm not shocked that if you look at the upper snowbird area, if you're doing specific targeted market to areas, you know, where those are at and what people are looking at. So you could very well do some targeted areas there by state as well. So
yep. So it'll also give you a number of how many agents have saved this listing in a saved search on the MLS as well. And you can see that 5 people have saved their listings inside of the MLS. So going along the left-hand side here, if we go into listings, this will give us a rundown for all of the listings that this member has. This will showcase any listing that you have. So there are analytics for each of these individual listings. Let me try to figure out which one was popular so we can pull. Their top one here is 106.42. 6. I am half blind here.
there you go, next page.
They have a lot of listings. Okay, and they have broker access on this one too. So we're just going to click into a random one and hope for the best. So we can go ahead. You see for each of these, you've got the online analytics a seller report option and then the seller report preview. So going in to click analytics, this will give you those same numbers that we were looking at before. However, it's going to be for each individual listing. So you can see here, they've got 27 views on this property, no inquiries. It's nobody's favorite at the moment. It could be a newer listing and no shares at the moment. And then with the views here, let's go back and find a more popular one. I knew that was going to happen.
Go to records per page and click up there.
Yeah.
100, and you'll be able to look at it real quick.
Find the 106. Okay.
That's the one. Yep.
There we go. It's a popular one. All right. So now going into this one with the views, you can see just for this listing, how many views it got on Zillow, Realtor.com, MLS, Trulia, and the agent sites. And then we've got the visitors on that site as well. So these are a lot of the demographics that you just looked at before on the dashboard, broken out just individually for that listing. You can see here that it had a spike on January 24th for whatever
Zillow.
reason.
Yeah, that could have been,
Zillow.
yeah, that could have been a refresh of the listing, a price improvement.
Mhm.
Maybe they switched around some pictures, but yeah, it was or they did a promotion online through Facebook or something like that.
Right. So then you will also get the heat map for that individual listing. So if you're looking at doing some kind of targeted marketing, you're putting out a Facebook ad for that property, you can see where it's most popular. This one doesn't have as much international pull, but you can see up in Colorado, up in New York area would be a good place for putting in more advertising. And again, this property doesn't have any inquiries at the moment, but if it had any, you would have a chart displayed here as well. And if anybody favorited it, you would get numbers for that property and the shares. So with all of this data, you've got a quick glance at it. This is a good place for you to get your talking points if you're getting ready to call a seller at any point, but it also creates a wonderful report here that you can send off or have a regular scheduled report for your seller as well. I see we've got a question really quick. I was told that you can buy a house from AI with no commission involved, wondering how this would work and how a realtor can compete against AI. So I know that you guys did AI last week on MLS Monday.
Yeah, so I'll just answer this the best I can. I mean, I think AI's got a place, and I think that if you look at the investment that people are making in the technology across the country, they're looking at ways to enhance currently what's happening. I don't believe that you're going to be buying a house from somebody through AI only. People like the relationship-based selling, right? Relationship-based sale, which is a home. It's a very emotional transaction, as everybody knows. It's the American dream of home ownership. It's that personal touch. And so I just don't see how artificial intelligence will be able to do that. What I do know is that it will be able to help an agent, a licensee, write a contract, right? It will be able to, in fact, there's a technology coming out, and it scares me because it's basically, in my professional opinion, think it's giving legal advice, but you could put in this new AI, write me an addendum for this property for early occupancy. Well, that's dangerous. I mean, you have something AI wise. So I think there's some good things AI can do, and there's some things that AI should not be touching. I don't think it's going to take anybody's job.
No. The
in
only
the real
person
estate
who's
space.
going to take your job is the realtor who is using AI while you don't.
Correct. So again, I think that, from note perspective, you look at some of the things that are done and you don't even realize it's AI. I did all handwritten notes with the stylist while I was up in Orlando this week, and went through AI and converted all of it to typewritten. So if I send it to somebody, they're not going to look at that and not have to worry about can they read it or not. So those types of things are AI as well. I think it's going to help our jobs, not replace us.
Yeah. All right, so back into the list track tool, the question is this report from list track? Yes. For those of you we've got a good amount of people who just jumped on a little late. We are inside of list track at the moment, going through the reports that are provided on there.
Yeah, and I think schedule a report. So here's how this is great, because you can schedule this and go ahead and click on that and kind of let's walk through. You put the seller's information on, sent on behalf. You can carbon copy yourself or blind carbon copy yourself, or blind carbon copy your admin assistant, whoever. You can customize this as much as you want,
Yeah.
okay? And again, if you schedule it and go through the process of actually scheduling it, now it's kind of a click it and forget it.
Mhm.
And they'll get a conversation from you bi-weekly, monthly, and or on a specific date, okay? And include lead metrics only when has one or more leads. You know, those types of things. So you make this look very, you know, customized for them. But that's communication you can provide to the actual customer. And this is what that report then looks like. You know, it's all numbers. Again, AI is not gonna be able to read this report for your customer, what it means in the marketplace. So I always recommend picking up the call and having a conversation with them. And walking through that report, but it gives you that email that you'll be able to go ahead and know that that report got in their inbox and have that call to have that conversation about where they're finding this stuff from, okay? So I like the automation report. I like the fact it's a touch on the consumer every single week or every other week, and that they're always unaware of it. And that communication's there, because what I hear when people leave a realtor, it's basically because of lack of communication. And he does a report every year, and that's the number one reason is lack of communication from the agent is the number one reason why realtors get fired.
Yeah. So, and they have the option on here too. It's a really nice layout, but if they click view more stats for your listing, it will bring them out to this report. And it'll allow them to interact with the graphs as well, and then set different custom dates here, and they can go out here and play with the bar graph as well. And it gives them that same freedom that you have inside of the portal. Let's see, if we missed the AI last Monday, can we get a copy of that class?
Send a check to Jason Jacobs for $350. I'm kidding.
So that class was recorded, and we are working on updating that to our YouTube channel. So you'll see that in the next probably 2 weeks up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we will send out, if you aren't getting weeklies from the association, get a hold of the association and get reapplied for it, because a lot of stuff's going on weeklies. We also do MLS Monday, not MLS monthly, that has some of this information there. So we're gonna start to go ahead and put these on the YouTube channel as we record them. That's why we're in webinar mode. The vision is to have content on that YouTube channel every single week and make it a go-to place for you to get quick things. So the short answer is yes.
I don't think you are capable of a short answer.
I don't, thank you.
All right, so that is how you would view the individual stats for that listing, send it out to the customer. You can preview that report. And if you come back to this chart, you can, where we started was the view analytics, but you also can schedule that report and view an example of that report right here in the chart. Or like we just did, you would click into that individual listing and set it up within the portal. So if there are any other questions that you guys have on List Track, go ahead and type them in the Q&A and we'll pop back to it. But that is what List Track provides to you. So it's a good amount of data overall for you to be able to analyze your business. Data on the individual listing to help you out with those conversations with the sellers, and then a automated generated report that will help you communicate to your sellers on a regular basis as well. So we're going to hop on over to Matrix and go through some different data points that the MLS side offers you in here. Inside of Matrix, you've got multiple things. I'm sure a lot of you have heard before about reverse prospecting. We're going to go through that really quick here. So inside of Matrix, you want to go to My Listings, and this is going to pull up all of your listings. And you can view any one of these. We'll find oh, these are expiring ones. We'll just go to all of my active listings here. And we'll keep picking on this property here. It's going to be the popular one of the day. So clicking into this listing, you'll see this button below here for reverse prospecting. What this does for you is provides a list of any agent that has sent out your property, whether it's individually or it's on a auto email set up through the One Home portal. This allows you to communicate with them. So maybe, Jason talked a lot earlier about price changes or any kind of listing update. If you have a change coming up, it's a good idea to reach out to them and let them know, hey, we're getting ready to lower the price on this today. Or if it just happened, call it to their attention, especially if anyone on here has a heart. I don't see that anybody's heart to this property. But it would show up here if they have a client that is in the portal that has saved it to their favorites. Those ones you especially want to pay attention to, but this will help provide you data points as far as who exactly is looking at that property and who you can try to start conversation with. Clicking into each of these will allow you to send an email right through the reverse prospect portal, or if you copy paste this, you can put it right inside of your email as well. Depends on what your preference is. But if anybody reaches back out to you and they say, hey, you reached out to me, you've got a price change, do you know which one of my customers liked that property? Because I've got 100 customers out or 100 properties and customers and things going on. I don't know who this belongs to. You'll want to use this reference number right here. So from the buyer's agent side, you can use this reference number to search through your contacts, and that will allow them to pull up which customer it is that is looking at that property. This helps keep their identity from, all their buyer's identity from being taken from any listing agents, but that way you guys can continue the conversation for what specific buyer that might be. All right. So from there, you can also view your listings hit counters, and this is going to give you an idea. So going back to where we were under my listings, you'll want to change this from the agent single line to the hit counters, and this will give you a different layout and a different graph with just more numbers to have conversations with your sellers. You can take a screenshot of this. You can also export this and send it out to them. What this gives you is for each listing, how many client portal views it has, how many client views it's received. So this would be like the individual send outs along with the auto setups. This would just be the auto setups for people who are receiving maybe it's morning emails, weekly emails, whatever they're set up on. So that's why this number is smaller. However, this number, if they're out there doing their own searches, it'll pull in more people there. You've got the client favorites running along here. So if anybody has favorited it in their portal, it'll show up how many favorites it's gotten. Client possibilities. This would be if it was possibilities on the old portal. The new portal only has favorites and dislikes. So this is still showing here for older listings, but that will eventually go away and you'll just have your favorites here. How many auto emails it's been included in. The previous 14-day view. So these numbers here are overall, and then this is going to give you just the previous 14 days of that listing. Agents published, and then agents rejected. This is if you have the concierge mode for your buyers. So agents will receive all of the listings in the morning and decide what listings their client will receive if they have it set up on concierge mode. So if they published it, it'll land here. If they rejected it, it will land here. And then this last one here you have is agent views. So that is just all of the members that are inside of MLS and how many of them have viewed it outside of the customer portals. I see we've got Q&A. I use reverse prospecting quite a bit. The biggest shortcoming I find is having to send out reverse prospecting emails one by one to each agent. Are there any suggestions to send out a mass email to several agents at one time? So the reason it doesn't allow you to export that is because the CAN-SPAM Act. We are not allowed to we're not allowed to allow you to do a mass export of any data. That's, whether you're searching agents and you pull up all these agents, or if you're doing reverse prospect in any way, we cannot allow there to be a mass export of agent data. You have anything else to say to that? Okay. You look like you wanted to say something. So Leanne, I understand, for sure, I do understand the pain in that. But we just can't because of the Can Spam Act.
I will, one thing I will say is I used to use this all the time.
Yeah.
It was my favorite tool of the MLS because, buyers agents, listing agents, they all have 100 things going on. I was able to use this data strongly going get price reductions and price improvements. And be able to redo some marketing, those types of things. So it forces you to look at, what's being popular. Why has this got more views than this one? And I'll tell you, I mean, a lot of people that do, kind of farming or neighborhood type of business, right? So where I lived in Moody River. I had a lot of business in Moody River. I would look at two almost identical types of houses 2 blocks away. Okay, this one's getting a ton of views. This one's not.
Yeah.
And trying to analyze why. And so, yes, it forces you to get in here and do it manually, but also gets you really in tune to what is happening with your inventory of listings.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you look at this one, I see Tracy Meadows' name on here like 15 times. So it kind of gets you to maybe call them and have a conversation with them. Why do you have so many customers? Are they looking
Well,
at this
invite
building
them to
specifically?
an open house. I mean,
Yeah.
she obviously sells in this neighborhood a lot for this particular listing, for this particular property. So.
All right, somebody asked, what is the count? I'm gonna go back to, because it's not on
They're asking the email count.
Oh, okay,
That's
this,
email count.
yeah, that sorts by the email count. So that's how many was in the email that they sent out. So for example, Barry sent out 116 properties along with your one. And then Tracy Meadows for this one, there was 12 along with yours.
And she probably sent us 12 on all those, right? So she sent out 12.
21 for a lot of them.
Yeah, so she has 2 customers, it looks like probably looking at those types of, that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right, and that's how buyers agents typically,
Yeah, but that's just to kind of give you an idea of how many is in there. But in using this, like I said, you can copy paste each of these, or, if you copy a message that you want to send out to everybody, instead you can click into each of these and it'll tell them the listing number, and you can paste your message in right here. It's already set and it'll send it right out from the Matrix portal so that you don't have to go back and forth in between your email. I understand that you still have to do each individually. But a lot of people like doing it right inside of the portal versus their own email. That's just, preference for you. They said, oh, so that is how many other properties went out with yours. Correct. Yep. This count number here is showing how many properties were in the mix with yours when the email was sent by this specific agent. Yep. So then going back, I think we covered everything here with the hit counters. Again, this is just more data for you to have that conversation with your seller. You can give them data, how many people are looking at it, what the movement is on it. Because that's what they're asking right now. What are you doing for my listing? Is anybody looking at it? Is anybody seeing it? And this is going to help you with those conversations.
Right. Yeah, and I would parlay using the different tools we're talking about today collectively. And I don't know if we'll get time to get to Showing Time, but Showing Time Plus also has some good tools on the showing aspect of it, right? So if you have a lot of views online, where I'm getting a ton of activity here, because I maybe have a Matterport where I'm doing a floor plan, right? I'm using a floor plan for keeping costs on it. I'm getting a lot more views and activity on it, but I'm not having the people walk through the door, the showings, right? The appointments.
So where's the
breakdown, right? So yeah, I mean, so then you want to go out and do another CMA on it and reevaluate your pricing structure, et cetera. But having the full picture for your sellers is important because they don't have the purview to this, and you're the expert.
Right. So the question is, so basically the email count are the other competing properties that the agent has emailed the customer or client, including yours. Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and in some of these cases, it looks like one guy just emailed the entire MLS out. But
it doesn't. Yeah, there is like a limit on there.
Right.
It's like 5,000.
I think it's 5,000 most even, but yeah, I mean it kind of fits. And a lot of people, depending on where they're buying starts, right?
Yeah.
You get somebody come down here, they typically get a lot more properties, and as they get closer to making a decision, they kind of get more granular in what they're looking for. So those numbers kind of shrink to how many properties you're sending them.
Right,
So.
right. So far between List Track and MLS, we've given you a lot of data that shows you what your listing exposure looks like to have those the conversations with your customers. But the other conversation piece that a lot of people are struggling with is, you know, the listing is too high, maybe it's not priced right. I don't know. How do I find that out? And how do I have that conversation with my sellers? And that's where we want to jump over to Domus Analytics. And let me jump back really quick to the dashboard. You can find Domus Analytics right here in the middle of the dashboard. That's what that logo looks like, and it'll sign you right in. This is the dashboard. We've done a lot of different classes on Domus Analytics. There's a lot of different tools in here. Each one of these different logos is a different tool that Domus Analytics provides you. But what we're going to focus on today is the pricing insights portion of this. And this is a great tool to really show you where your listing lands amongst other listings, give you an idea. Is it overpriced? Is it not the pricing? Maybe it's something else. So let's go back to our favorite little property here, and we'll use the numbers for 106 Southeast 42nd Street. So this is in 33904. It's single family, right? Yeah,
Yep.
Single family. So we're going to select single family. We're going to go to Cape Coral. I know my ABCs.
They don't.
All right, and right now automatically here, it selects all of the zip codes for us. I'm going to go ahead and do just 33904. And we'll keep on here the active, closed, and pending. We'll get an idea, right? Like, what is everybody else listing their house for, but what's the realistic price of what's going under contract and what's closing. And then we'll look for right now, we'll just look at the last, there we go. We'll look at the last month to date. So once you have everything in this box filled out, then you'll see a chart will start to display. And the call we get the most is, hey, there's no chart displaying, and it's usually just because you do not have a box filled out. For easy timekeeping sake, I just said select all, but it is only pulling the stuff from 33904. If you wanted to go by geocode, you could do that as well. So once you've put in all of your filters here, you can select hide filter and you'll see the entire chart. If you want to continue to filter down more and not have as many data points, then you can reopen this and continue to fill that out. Let's see what questions we've got. Can you explain the pricing insights grid and all the plot points and what they mean? Yep, that's what we're going to get into. All right, so on this chart, what you see is a color coding of all the different listings that exist in the MLS based on the filters that you filled out up here. Now, what we need to do first here is the proposed list price and the square footage needs to be filled out. So right now, this listing is $729. Oh, I love your keyboard so much.
It used to work out really, really well.
Yeah, and somebody dropped it.
Somebody dropped it.
We won't blame anybody on camera. All right, square footage for this is 1941. All right. So once you plug these in, you will see that this blue line here continues to move. If I were to drop this down and change it dramatically, you would see that blue line move. So that blue line is based off of the numbers that you put in here. All right, there we go. Bring our lines back. So what this chart is, for those of you that didn't have to go through an awful statistics course in college, is a scatter plot chart. On here, we have all of the data points from that filter. So you've got the active, the pending, and the sold, because that's what I selected out. So here the blues are active, the oranges are pending, and then there are like dark blue hidden in here. Those are the closed. So if you wanted to, you could turn off the other pieces. Maybe you wanted to just focus on what's closing in comparison to your listing. You can shut those off and the colors change and it just shows those. But we're going to keep all of these on for our example. So you can hover over each of these Maybe you've got one that's like way out here and they're like, well, you know, that listings, what is this?
$7 million.
Yeah, so you can go out here, you can click on it. And it will display the listing down here below so that you can pull it up in the MLS and say, well, it's extremely way out there because I don't know, it's the crazy mansion with all kinds of upgrades. And, you know, each of these data points you can play with and click into and be able to view what each of those data points are. But the important piece here is your listing lands right where this cross is. Whatever you've put in up here is this blue line. So your price per square foot crossed against the pricing of the listing gives you your data point right here. The average of all of the data points that you have in here is this black line here. So you can see this listing's a little bit above average.
And that
here.
does, yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's overpriced. It's just, if your blue line is to the right and up, right?
Mhm.
It's gonna be a little bit tougher to sell that.
Yeah.
Because a majority of the houses are
Listed
below
over
that.
here.
Right, so you look at that, it's 390 at
Mhm.
205 a square foot.
Mhm.
Yours is not, so it's gonna be a little harder.
We can even
on there.
see C12. So you can even, you know, especially where there's so many data points on here, we can try to see if narrowing it down at all. There's a little bit less data points on there, kind of clears the map up a little bit. So that you can see, because then you can click in the listings that are around yours and see, do they compare? I mean, do they have the same kind of
Right,
upgrades?
are they on water, are they have a pool, what's
Mhm.
missing?
Mhm.
This gives a lot of information.
Yeah. Yep. So on the side here, you've got the percentage of listings that are below 729. So
Yeah, it's a hard, this is.
this is way in the red. So if it was closer to the average, you'd be seeing it in the green. This just gives them a visual for the people who are not math people. And that's okay. Some of us are like, you know, data analytic, and some of us are just like, no, just tell me whether it's good or bad. And then this chart here would be based on the price per square footage. So it gives you both of those. It's the price overall and then the price per square footage, because everybody's always having those conversations about what's more important, or what's, you know, what's the selling point really at, is the price per square foot or the overall price. Well, you've got them both here to compare to the rest of your listings.
And if you take this and you put it in prior to
Mhm.
going even on your listing presentation, this is why I think the gold is.
Yeah.
Right, because you want the whole package. I'm gonna sell you the, you know, the platinum package for listing a property. It's gonna need a Matterport, it's gonna need drone photography, it's a little harder to sell. We're up there in the yellow and the red,
Yeah.
right? And those prices in that area, it's a unique unicorn of a property in that neighborhood. It might be very well within what it's worth,
Mhm.
right? And the only people are gonna tell that's the buyer,
Yeah.
right? When they put an offer in. So it's a great tool to go in
Mhm.
prior to your listing and say, hey, listen, this is, you are, you know, this is a unicorn out there, and this is
Yeah.
what this means.
Well, and that's something, right? Because we keep coming back to this conversation. That's something that AI is not going to be able to do for you, right? So if you look at this geocode and it's mostly condos, but you're selling a single family home, well, of course, you're going to be a little bit above average if you've got more square foot, if you've got, you know, all those different things going on here. You're going to be that outlier, like you said, the unicorn. That's not something AI can see. Let's see, what is the black line again and the light blue line based on our proposed list price? Okay, so these lines, right? The black line, this is where the average price is for the filters that we've put in. So in this geocode, whatever I did.
Single family
12,
geocode, zip code.
this is the average price, this line right here. And then this line here would be the average square footage price. So in this area, the average price per square foot is 394, and the average price is, oh no, it's selecting a specific. So the average square foot, sorry, I misspoke, is right around 200. It's just above 200. And then the overall price is just short of 500. So it's probably right around 4.
Well,
Well, actually, it says over here 375.
375 and 211.
Hello, 375 and 211. All right, so and then the blue line shows you where yours is at. So it's done the math for us. The price is $729, so it puts that line right at $729. And then the price per square foot is $376. So that is where that cross comes. So it's giving you data based on the price per square foot and the overall price that you can compare where yours lands amongst those other ones. And your numbers are up here. And then you can see here the listing price per square foot, $376. That's yours. $729, that's yours. It matches here. But then the median ones are over here. So the median price for this area is $375. The median price per square foot is $211. And it shows you how many data points you've got on there. So if you feel like you have too much or too little, again, you just go up here and you continue to mess with the filter up there until you've got like that comfortable number that you have for a good amount of comparables.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions on that? That is everything that this chart does. Again, Domus Analytics has a lot of market stats, different things that you can look into, but this one in specific will help you with your listings and the conversations that you have with your sellers. Is all of this included in the $99 per year? So, Joan, the only thing that's going to cost you extra is the list track tool. This tool that we went over in the beginning, that one is $9.99 a month or $99 a year. All of the other tools we talked about are included to all of our MLS members. So everything inside of Matrix you get, that would be all of the reverse prospecting and the hit counters. And then Domus Analytics, this is included in your membership as well.
Yeah, Domus Analytics is, we have a contract with them. We just upped their contract for another period. Yeah. And then we're bringing on another program. So
yeah,
you'll have a lot of information that, List Track tells you specifically portals, websites, IDX feeds. This tells you more about internal market conditions. So there's a different tool for everything you're trying to look at.
Yeah.
Do we have time to go real quick to
showing
time plus and some reports in there? So the last thing we have, we normally don't talk about this, but showing time is our showing software. So a lot of people are asking questions with regards to, reports. So there's, and I don't need to run them, but just.
Yeah, I'm not gonna click into any of them because I don't want to give away any more information.
No, this is, but if you come here for reports, you have listing activity report showings I requested, so you know things you've done. Agent activity report, and then pricing benchmark report is another great report. It's going to tell you days on market against competing listings. It's going to give you information about, how many showings, my neighborhood at this price point, how many showings did it take before I get an offer? What's the average? Yeah. So it's a lot of good information here as well in these reports, and these are already there for you. You can also, use them as you get listings on it, and you can also use a benchmark report prior to as well. So if you go into showing time, go into reports, you've got more information here for you to have those conversations with your sellers and even your buyers.
Yeah.
As well. So
absolutely. All right. I think that is a lot for you guys today. That is about four or five tools that we've gone through today. Again, all of those are included. List Track does have that upgrade out there for you, but everything else is included.
Yep. And you get the next 26 days of List Track for free. So use that, abuse it, see if you like it, take it for a test ride, see if you want to make the commitment.
Yeah.
These other things are there for you as well. So, and then next week's MLS Monday is what topic?
I believe, it is Domus Analytics and Sunstat. So we will be getting a deeper dive into all of those statistical tools for you.
Yes. So, and then we'll be bringing another tool in a month or so. But, that information, something that AI is not going to be able to take away from you. No. I mean, you having that conversation, that and being able to drive around a neighborhood, looking at your comparables prior to going on a listing appointment, because you can't. I believe, and it's my opinion, that you can't do a CMA from your office, right? I used to print out my comparables. I'd have 5 or 6. I did the 360 reports. I drive the neighborhood. As I went through, I put a check mark or an X on that. So
Okay, one last question for Damas. Is the black line for median or average? It is the average, so it's gonna be the average price for all of those, whatever, our example had like 200 and something, so it'll be the average price, and then the horizontal would be the average
Per square
price
foot.
per square foot. Yep. Yep. I know, we all love our scatter plots. You stare at it for 10 minutes, eventually it'll make sense, I promise. But if you guys have any questions on that Damas Analytics tool, do not hesitate to call in once you start plugging stuff in. If it doesn't work for you, or if you're confused about those data points, again, just give us a call. We'll help you through it.
All right. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a fantastic week and we'll see you next week.